Welcome to HBCU Her Voice, a place where we celebrate the powerful voices and stories of remarkable women from historically Black colleges and universities. I'm your host, Shanadra Washington, a proud HBCU graduate myself. I'm thrilled to bring you this platform dedicated to amplifying the voice of our community. We dive into inspiring stories of resilience, success, and the incredible impact these women are making in the world. From trailblazing entrepreneurs to innovative leaders, we bring you the stories that matter, showcasing how HBCU experiences shape paths and fuel passions. We'll explore challenges, victories, and wisdom. Whether you're an HBCU alum, a student, faculty member, supporter, or simply someone who believes in the power of diverse voices, we are so glad to have you. So listen up as we share insights, celebrate achievements, and uplift our community. Together, we can inspire the next generation of leaders and ensure our voices are heard loud and clear. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. And just like that, we're back with another amazing episode of the HBCU Her Voice podcast. And let me just tell you today, before I even do my normal introduction, I am so honored and privileged to have this guest today. Like, you get those days you just beaming with pride. This is one of those, okay? So, don't tell me nothing after today. I'm going to be real good and real fueled from this. I can tell you that from now. But I'm Shanadra Washington, your wonderful and fabulous host, streaming from the beautiful city of Houston, Texas. And you don't waste no time around here. I am so honored to bring this guest. She does the drill. She tells us her name, where she's streaming from, which HBCU she's repping, woo-woo, and we jump right into this powerhouse story. And here she is.
So my name is C. Nicole Mason. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I am a proud Howard University graduate, the real HU. I'm so excited to be here and to share my story with you. And so you want me to jump into my story? Let me tell you, I have the best story. I want to share with you how I got to Howard University. So I am originally from Los Angeles, California. I was raised by a single mom. So grew up poor working class in and around Los Angeles, California. I am the first person in my family to graduate high school, go to college, and to earn a PhD. The story of how I got to Howard is one that sticks with me and informs what I do every day. But I left home at the age of 17 to live with my paternal grandmother in Las Vegas. And in my high school in California, there was a woman who had a reputation for getting Black kids like me into HBCUs. And when I left, I lost connection with her. And I was applying to college. I didn't know how to apply to college. I didn't have any information. I just knew about this woman. So I called her and I said, I'm applying to colleges. And she told me to apply to Howard University and to send my application to this woman named Tawana in admissions. And so I did that, but I had no idea how to apply to college. And this is back in the day where there was paper applications. So I threw the kitchen sink into this application. I included poems. I included, all my extracurriculars, my essays. I was using all these big words that frankly were used out of context and in the wrong way, I'm sure. And I waited. This is, again, back in the day. So you had to wait for the letter to come in the mail. At the time, I was going to school full time and working at nights at a food court in a casino in Las Vegas. And my grandmother got the admissions letter and told me, she opened it actually. And, I had gotten accepted to Howard and I was so, so excited. And I was sharing the news with cousins and relatives. I was really excited. And one cousin said, well, you're not going anywhere. And I said, what do you mean I'm not going anywhere? He said, well, you don't have any money. So you'll be right here with us. And I was just devastated. And so for the next couple of months, again, this is before cell phones. I used a payphone outside of my high school to call Miss Bowman, that was her name, to say, I got accepted, but I don't know how I'm going to get in. But she would never answer the call because she was teaching. One morning, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I took a Greyhound bus from Las Vegas back to California to my old high school. And I go to her classroom and I said, because I've been calling for weeks and months. And I said, you have to help me because I, got accepted, but I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. And she told me to step outside of the classroom. And I was like, what? I need your help. She called the Dean of Arts and Sciences at Howard University that morning. And it was a 3-hour time difference. So let's say it's like 9 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. And she talked to him, and I waited outside for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then she called me back in and she said, you have a full tuition scholarship, merit scholarship to Howard University. And I was so overwhelmed with joy. I like hugged her really big. And what I did, I got right back on the next Greyhound bus back to Las Vegas and went to work my shift at the food court that night. That moment changed my life. And without her, I wouldn't have gotten to Howard, or without that dean. And when I left for Howard, I had about $200 and all my dorm stuff. And it was my first time on an airplane. And when I got there, I was so excited. I didn't know what lied ahead for me, but I just knew that I had made it. And so my HBCU is where my story begins. It has just meant so much to me.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And that dean was divinely placed in your life. That was divine placement. And the other part about it I got that was really comical. She said my grandmother opened that letter. One thing about our grandmother, they're gonna open your mail now. Right. They're gonna open your mail and tell you later. And the other part that really, really just kind of made me stand there, I think you said it was your cousin, was like, you don't got no money, where are you going? It's interesting how, those limiting beliefs that are sometime around us can really shift and sometimes try to impact the way that we move. Because I've been there. I'm trying to do the thing, but everyone that's around me, they don't know the next thing. So they're only in a place to where they can operate. Now, we know that since Howard, y'all see Nicole Mason has done some amazing things. She, we get this part of her story that's been the beginning. She does a lot of things in the world of women's policy and pay equity. I want you to start shaping how that journey came about. What was the thing that made you go that walk for a career?
So like I said, I grew up poor working class in Los Angeles, California. My mother was a single mom raising 2 kids. I saw her struggle. I saw the struggle of people in my community. She never really talked about politics. So we were just rolling with the hand that we were dealt. And when I got to Howard, first of all, it was the first time that I saw middle-class Black people. And one, I thought everybody had more than I had, and, I wore my best outfit on the airplane to Howard University. And when I got there, I felt like I was wearing rags. It was just such a different world, literally the show and my life. So it was just like a different world. And I thought I wanted to be a psychology major because I didn't know anything about anything except for, I don't know, I thought psychology was a good major, but I took my first political science class with Dr. Gruski. And it was there that I learned about social inequality. I had language for the first time for my experiences. I had context for race relations, and it just blew my mind. I had language for programs that, people were saying were for poor people, like Head Start, which I went to, and all these things. And I was like, what? That's for poor people, but instead of, being ashamed, I really leaned in, and it just was really a transformational moment. And from that moment on, I changed my major, became a political science major, and knew that that was the work that I wanted to be doing for my life's work. I was going to be working to change policy, to use my voice, use my experiences to really change policy and make policy for people who look just like me, my family, and communities. Which I don't know how much you all know about the policy space, but people don't look like us. I was doing that work. At Howard University, I founded the first women's organization on its campus, which was great, and also like it was a crazy experience. But that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I learned about intersectionality and politics, and really deciding who I was going to be in the world, and always thinking about not just myself and my success, but the success of my community and others. And so Jesus, it's been a while since I've graduated, so I've done a lot of things. But right now, I run a think tank focused on women and economic issues, which it's the work that I love to do, and just been very fortunate to continue to do this in the way that I think serves my highest purpose, but also serves my community.
Oh, I love it. And I have to go here, see Nicole, because I wrote a book called Seen and Not Heard: The Invisible Impact of Black Women. Where in that book, I specifically talk about Black women's equal pay day. I specifically call it out. I specifically talk about the differences. I want to ask you, from your time in your space, society's undervaluation, really, of a Black woman's work. It's a thing. You and I both know. I want you to talk about that as a societal view, the undervalue of our work, and what do you think we can continue to do to work towards some more equity in this area?
So for those of you who may not be familiar with the gender pay gap, but specifically the Black women's pay gap, Black women earn 64 cents on every dollar that a white man earns. And what that translates to over a person's career, we lose up to $1 million to the pay gap. Which means that that's less money we have to invest in ourselves, invest in our communities, buy a home, invest in our education. All those things get delayed. And more importantly, our skills, our talents, all those things that we bring to the table are not valued or undervalued. And I would say, from what my perspective and my experience in working at many levels and in many different settings, we work the hardest. We work doubly hard because we have to be seen and get a promotion, but we also are more likely to be doubly educated. So if our counterpart has a bachelor's degree, we're more likely to have a master's degree or a PhD and maybe earning less. But what we know to be true is that whenever there's something hard happening, particularly like even in this moment when we're thinking about turning the country around, we go get a Black woman. When we're about to lose an election like we were in 2020, we go with Black women because we know that they have the juice and that we're going to turn it around. And what really saddens me is that we're not honored for all that we bring to the table, both financially, but also just in the world. That really hurts my heart. And Black women, frankly, are the ones who are often celebrating and lifting up other Black women to make sure that we are being appreciated, we are getting the accolades, and that we are seen.
So good. And it's important you said that, because we have to learn, and I talk about this often, to be our own advocates. We cannot wait for us on the shoulder and tell us that we're great. You have to get into that walk of saying, this is who I am, and I'm standing firm on that, and I'm going to be my own advocate. So thank you for sharing that. I have to go here as a segue because, of course, I check my guests out. I'll be looking at all y'all stuff, okay? I came across the TED Talk.
Right.
The TED Talk says this gift of being difficult, right? I would have my run and play with that in 2020-ish when I started to raise concerns in my workplace before I left corporate America. It wasn't that Sinead was just difficult because of her attitude. I have a very light spirit, but now she's difficult because she's raising concerns. Talk about this gift of being difficult and really that power of disruption, because some people find the challenge to stand in that difficulty. I want you to talk about it.
You know, when I gave that TED talk, I was really grappling with a lot of things. But one of the things is, one, how did I get from, you know, brown girl in California to the TED stage? I was thinking about, like, how do you go from that to this? You know, how do you get from there to here? And one of the things I came up with was that I was unwilling to accept what was being defined for me. I've, rejected what people were saying I could do or couldn't do, what my limits were, and questioning and saying, why not? Or, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I get a PhD? Why can't I go to, Howard University? And that is what makes you, or for people who are not used to you wanting more than you have, or they think you should have, then you become difficult. But really, what I've learned since that talk, it's really you standing in your power. And people have a hard time with people who stand in their power and know who they are. And, unwilling to allow people to define them for them. And that makes people uncomfortable. So, which in turn makes people define them as difficult, when in fact, it's just really your light and your power that, they don't want to see, or they want to stamp out, or, just don't want you to shine as bright.
Yeah, so it's almost kind of like the light, and we don't want to call it darkness, but in some forms, it just can't coexist together. They can't see this idea of you standing in who you are and really just saying, this is who I'm going to be. It really does disrupt a lot of people. I know that you have the Future for Our Women coming up. I want you to kind of talk about that, what it is. I do know that you have some partners. I think it's the Foundation Chanel, and another partner. Number one, tell us about the foundation, what's its purpose, and then talk about those partners and why those are beneficial for this particular project.
So up until recently, I ran a national economic think tank, the Institute for Women's Policy Research. And again, I've been fortunate to be aligned with, my work is very meaningful to me. And Future for Women is a transition and an amplification of that work that I was able to do both at IWPR, but even my life's work over the years. And so Future for Women is a legislative exchange and policy network that really is about building women's power, their economic well-being, and really getting at the crux of why we don't have the power, the resources, the kinds of public policies we really need in this moment for women. We're 50% of the population, and we're underrepresented across all levels of government. The policies, childcare policies, paid sick leave policies, the pay gap, all those things we don't have now. And so I'm really about thinking about, how do we build women's power? My big partners in this work are Foundation Chanel, which is a national foundation, and obviously affiliated with Chanel the brand, and also the New York Women's Foundation and the Kresge Foundation. All three of those foundations are critical partners to me in this work and helping to build women's power and influence.
I love it. And then there also too becomes this layer of visibility that us specifically as Black women have to step into. And you've been around a lot. I looked around. You've been in a lot of different places. I've seen Nicole Mason. I want you to talk about the power of visibility. And I want you to talk about the power of not only being visible, but consistently visible, especially as a Black woman.
So again, one of the things I say is that the only thing you have in your work or in your life is your name and your work. and your work speaks for itself. So the fortunate thing is, because if you've been doing this work and people know you and your reputation, and you have a reputation for doing good work, you do get invited into spaces. Sometimes they're, spaces I consider to be rarefied air, where there are not a lot of Black women or people of color there. And so when I go into those spaces, I believe my job is to bring the experiences and the people, my family, my community, all the other people I work with, into that room as well. And if I could say one thing about going to Howard University and how that shaped me, and being able to go into these rooms and be visible and claim and take up space, is that being at Howard and being surrounded by Black excellence, it shapes you in a way so that when you go out into the world, frankly, nobody could tell me anything, because I had seen Black excellence. I'd read Black writers and Black inventors, about Black inventors and Black scientists. And so I wasn't afraid to be in spaces where I was the only one and not be able to speak up, because I knew that I had a voice. I had a big, strong legacy behind me, and I wasn't afraid. And I think you see that and frankly, if you tell me if there's a Black woman doing something in a big way in a public sphere, 9 times out of 10 she went to an HBCU. Many times she went to Howard University. Okay, and that just makes me swell with pride, because I know what it means. I know what's instilled in her, and what she carries, and what she's not afraid of, and how visible she is. Like she's not afraid. She doesn't shrink. And so yeah, so it's just really important that for me, I carry those experiences, but also that confidence, where I know where I come from. I know what I know. Because in these spaces, the God trick is to make you think you don't know what you know. But we do know.
So very true. And, I say that too, that foundation for me. I went to Houston-Tillotson University in Austin, Texas. It's a smaller HBCU, but it was the basis for my success in my career. I was a fast sprinter because I believed that I could. And even now, even doing this space here, before this thing came, I could see the end before the beginning. And I said, if I just put one foot in front of the other and show up as Shanadra and do it, it shall be done. And I mean that. And you get that when you see the model of that in a community of people. That's why this platform is here and exists, is because we have to talk about it more. It's not a bad thing to talk about. It's a thing that needs to be talked about more. And we can eradicate some of this shrinking and eradicate some of this not knowing. Because when you know who you are, people are not going to even play with you like that no more. I'm telling you. They might try it. They might try it. You and I both know. That's not going to go away. But they know. It's something about the flow. It's something about how look in her eyes that they know she really not the one. I just wanted to say that and be very clear there. I want to go here because, you've gathered so much expertise. And I know that now you are showing up and you're visible on boards. I think I read all of your Ken, the Jeremiah program. Why are those particular organizations very important to you? You said, I'm going to answer the call of yes to serve there.
So in terms of my board leadership and service, I serve on 3 boards: the Jeremiah program, which works with single moms, 2 generations, breaking the cycle of poverty. All Our Kin, it's an organization that supports early care and education service providers and educators. And then Dolores Barweaver Center really focused on public policy, focused on vulnerable young girls. So these are all issues that, from my background and my own personal experience, I feel very deeply connected to. And so I choose to give my time and energy, my thought leadership to these 3 very significant organizations that are doing great work in the world, and these are all, like I said, all issues that I feel that one, I have something to say about and something to contribute. And I know that these organizations are transforming the lives of women, girls, and families. And, that's, it's my way of giving back as well.
I love it. We don't always get to reflection questions. I try to work them in, but I think they're so powerful and important to capture here. So we're fast forwarding now to see Nicole Mason's 80th birthday, and baby, it's a show. Okay, everybody is there. Everybody is there. We got all of the best food. We got all of everybody who you think should be in that room. They're there. What are you hoping they're saying about you at that time? About your life, your legacy, and just who to see Nicole Mason is as a woman?
So what's amazing is that sometimes I get, as I've been doing this work, and I'm choking up because this just makes me so emotional. But I've been doing this work since I was 19, and I feel like it's my calling. And I've worked with generations of women. So when I started out, I was fortunate to have older Black women, really older Black women who supported me, and some who are 60, 70 years old now, or older. And they'll see me out in the world, and I'll just get these emails or text messages or DMs, or, they're on Facebook. So I'll get a Facebook message, and they say, you always cared about us. You always stand up for us. You're still doing the good work, or, and that means so much to me because they still see me and they know that that's what it's always been about for me. And so on my 80th birthday, I believe that they're going to be saying the same thing. Like, she was always for us. She always, passionate. And she always told the truth. Like, I'm a truth teller. And so that's what I hope. And I hope that it's just a celebration. One of the things that I'm very clear about, and I talk to my friend about all the time, I said, we're doing this work and it's hard and it's a struggle. I said, but this is not about struggle for me. This is about freedom, freedom for me, to create the life that I want to create and create a life for my children that feels freer than my life. And so at the end, I hope that people say, or my 80th birthday, that she is free and she is happy and she is loved and she looks good as hell. Because I want to look, be beautiful and good at, thriving. So that's what I hope.
The best part about all of that, you said she is free. And that's something that I coin almost every other day. I said, now you're going to walk this space free. In the freest form that you have, you're going to walk it. So for you to say that, I got that parallel because she is free and she did it the way that C. Nicole Mason was supposed to do it and what she was designed to do. So that's powerful. So now, C. Nicole Mason, you get to sell Howard. There is a young lady or a young boy, we don't know, and they down to the wire. They say, I got to choose some other school and I got to choose Howard. So you got to tell them right now, you got to tell them why they should be saying, Howard is the one.
So I'm going to say that any HBCU is the right choice. But if you want to go to the best, no shade to, Howard is it. And let me just put it to you like this. So first of all, we're going to have the first Black woman president. She will have attended Howard University. So that's that, that's there. But I was at the gym the other day and this guy came up to me. He said, let me just say something. He said, I just have an observation. This is a white man. He said, every person who has taken it to Donald Trump has been a Black woman from Howard. Fonnie Willis, Letitia James, and now Kamala Harris is going to be the one that ends that man. So, and they're all powerful. And you can't get in the way of their brilliance. They know who they are. So I say any HBCU is going to shape who you are at the core, and whatever skills, talents that you have, they're going to bring that out. And at Howard, if you're going to think about politics, if you're thinking about changing the world, is one of the best places to do that and cut your teeth in an environment that is safe, affirming, and just, spirited. I mean, we have the best homecoming. I mean, like, come on now. Howard has the best homecoming around. So, I mean, from the rooter to the tutor, I mean, it is really just the best.
That girl said, just go on over there and apply to her school. I'll drop names. I'm talking about homecoming. Just go over there and do what you need
Yes,
to do.
yes. I mean, our band is never about a band. I mean, the South, you can't be the Southern band. I mean, so Howard, we do really need to pull it together. So I don't want to, don't come here thinking you're about to get a Gremlin, FAMU band. We're not there. But we are it at the end of the day for, everything else.
Oh, I love it. Now, we can't leave here, see Nicole Mason, without telling people how to get in touch with you. If they want to support any of these initiatives, give us somewhere to find you, whether it be website, online, whatever you want to share here for connecting, please do so.
So to find me, you can visit my website at imcnicolemason.com, or you can find me on all social at C Nicole Mason. So those are the ways that you can find me.
Thank you for that. And this is the part in our show where we cue for your final words. So we wanted you to give us some final parting words that really capture. If they don't see anything about this interview, I want them to get this. So this is what I want you to give as final parting words, and I'll cue over to you for.
So in terms of my final words, so I feel like I created a life on my own terms, going from pretty much nothing to living what I consider to be the life of my dreams. And Howard was a very big part of that. And so I say to you that the only person who can define your destiny and who you become is you. And whatever you're dreaming about, whatever you're thinking about, it's all in your hands.
I love it. And I think you are very much living the life of your dreams. I see that through your work. I've embodied that in your essence. So thank you so much for your service. And let me tell you, to all our amazing listeners and viewers here, I told y'all it's going to be a good episode. She's giving us a lot of good information, and I'm so for the space. Until next time, remember to always let your voice shine. I will never leave here without telling you that I love you. And we'll be back really in no time with another amazing woman on the HBCU Her Voice podcast. And we're out.
Oh, that was so great.